Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to our Tuesday practice of medical Qigong. This is our last practice of 2025 as we are entering the new year just in a couple of days. Finding yourself in Muji posture. Just a quick review for Sue who's joining us tonight. So feet shoulder width apart. Allow your pelvis to rotate forward a little bit. Then pick up your shoulders and let them sink up and back, and then let them sink. And then we'll be inviting everyone to check into their posture. So we want to find a place where the weight is almost equally distributed between the front and the back. And in my practice, it's always a little bit more forward into the ball of the feet, where there's a point in the middle of the ball of the feet known as kidney 1. This is our anchoring into the earth. And the kidney meridian itself is a very important meridian in the well-being of our body and of ourselves. Okay. We'll start with bringing down the heavens, breathing in as your arms come up, palms facing down. And then at shoulder height, palms go up. And then all this energy that you've got on the way up is coming down in the front of the body. So you're sweeping the front of the body as a way to clear what stands in the way of inspired practice, of flow in your body. When the hands come up and the hands are down, we're picking up earth energy first, and here, heaven energy. And then let that now sweep the back of the body. Again, to liberate that part of our body from worries and business of the day. So clearly stepping into our practice for tonight. And a third time. And now letting this flow happen through the crown, through the brain, through the neck, and through the cavities of the chest, of the abdomen, the pelvic area, and down the center of the legs. When it gets to the feet, imagine this flow now dissolving into the ground, reaching below your body, below the one body line, second body line, and a third body. Feeling this connection with the earth, the most physical representation of our existence, the earth. Okay. So we're still exploring the general healing workout, which is divided in three sections. The first section is meant to clear the body even more in depth, more so than what we just did with bringing down the heavens. And some of this involves your imagination. So bring your feet together. Sorry, not for this one. The feet still are apart. And if you would, imagine that you have fingers of light extending from your flesh fingers. And then we're going to rake through the surfaces of our body, starting with the inner aspects of the legs. As you bend forward and breathe in, and let these fingers enter through the legs, the front of the body, the armpits, the inner aspects of the arms. At the wrists, gather this chi and breathe it out. And then we start now at the back of the wrists, the back of the arms, side and back of the head. And then down the back, side and back of legs, all the way to the ankles. And then gather the ankles and breathe it out. So letting your mind extend these fingers of light to the center of your legs. So through the flesh, through the muscles, and then the organs of the front of the body. And then the inner aspects of the arms all the way to the wrists. Where your mind goes, where you let your imagination travel, so does Qi goes. Because your energy is activated by this imagination, this imaginary flow. Yeah. Last one. Back of the hands. So we're breathing in every time that we're raking through. And at the ankles, gather and release. Now, before getting up, now let your hands, your awareness, reach into the core of the earth and gather this chi of the earth and bring it up on the in breath and settle it down into the lower abdomen. And stirring it in here 3 times one way and 3 times the other way. The next exercise is known as counter swing. So again, here when we come up, the arms will come up with the palms facing down, elbows relax, shoulders relax. This is the in-breath. On the out breath, the arms are going to swing around your shoulders. So that's the arm movement. Really relax, breathing in here and out. Now we also involve the legs in this motion. So as you let the arms come down, you let the leg on the arm that's swinging forward, you let that leg bend and you sink your body weight into that leg. So the in-breath brings in new chi. The out-breath releases old chi. Inviting what no longer serves you. Could be any of the experiences of the day, of the week, of the year as we enter, getting ready to end this 2025. So maybe there's an experience this year that's been lingering. This is a good time with this exercise to invite it out. We can't really push it. We can't push or force it out. It's just opening your awareness to let this be transformed, transmuted, released to the environment, letting go of what no longer serves you. So there's a version of this that I like slightly better, because it slows down in breath, brings more awareness in the new chi that I bring in. So when I come up on this leg here, there's an in-breath. Second in-breath as my weight transfers, and then I release on the out-breath. So one breath, second breath, out. So pay attention to your wrists, your elbows, shoulders. You want this to be, the arms to move as fluidly as you can make them happen in this moment. And then we complete the exercise with the next in-breath as the arms come up. And then on the out-breath, you let them settle down. Bringing your feet together. We're going to go into frog bouncing on the lily pad. So the motion here It's quite simple. And the way to activate this motion or this movement in the way that's most harmonious, that generates the best wave, if you would, in your spine, is to let your body fall and let the tendons catch it and then bounce it back up. So it's almost effortless. Breath is long, relaxed. So we're activating the lymph flow here, the blood, Qi. When this is done correctly, there should be a sense of wave propagating from the legs into the spine, all the way into the neck. And when here the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists are relaxed. Once you've found the ease in this motion, in this movement, let your heels come off the ground on the way up, and they come back down with a tap on the floor. Thud, a tap, so that there's a vibration now generated through your bony structure. So this exercise is really good at clearing stagnation from deep into the bone structure, into the cerebrospinal fluid, into the lymph, to the marrow proper. What is generally known in Chinese medicine as the Sea of Marrow, which includes the substance inside the bones, cerebrospinal fluid, spine itself, the brain. And if there's tension developing anywhere, pay attention to maybe how you're holding in that area, of forcing the movement. So finding a place where this is easy. And returning to frog bouncing on the lily pad. Now the heels remain on the floor. And then stopping calmly. Returning to Wuji posture for a moment and noticing what's different. Taking a moment to adjust your posture again too. So with each shoulder width apart, notice where the weight wants to fall, the weight of your whole body. So ideally, just a little forward of the mid. I'll cover that again when we begin the class in January. There's going to be a number of new students then. I'll cover the basics again. Basics of the Wuji posture then. Returning your feet together, you're going to stack the bones. It's a really good way to develop awareness of the root. The tendency when we move our arms up or when we go up is to actually see that when people try to balance on a wire, they bring their hands up here, which is not a bad idea for balance. If you look closely at how they do this, their chi comes up. So now they're actually, some of them anyway, less stable. Now the way to do this correctly is to actually drop your mind where your feet touch the ground. That's the first step. Then as you shift your weight forward, firmly into kidney one, now you can come up into your toes, onto that kidney one and a bit more forward, and stacking the bones of the feet on top of the toes, the ankles on top of the bones of the feet, and gradually coming up the legs, the knees, the thighs, so finding a place where these stack onto each other, sacrum. And then for some, bringing the hands out helps with stability. For others, bringing the hands in. And then allowing each of the vertebrae now to stack on top of each other, finding the place where this is. There's palm, stability. And then letting this fall at once, tapping the ground on the way down. So making a good sound here and then shaking it out a little bit. Dropping the post again. So we come back down from stacking the bones to dropping the post. One solid intake, I guess, width from the heat. Okay, again, stacking the bones. So letting your body rock forward and coming up in the toes, and gradually find yourself, bring your awareness from the feet. So the feet are always present in your mind as you come up, and feel each of the bones all the way to the neck, finding stability. Breathing, of course. And then letting this come downwards. Loosening it up a little bit. And we'll do this one more time. And letting your weight rock forward. You'll feel it where the point of balance is in front of the feet. You can play with this motion or this arm movement where you bring the arms in or out. Notice which one feels calmer for you tonight. Might not always be the same move. And then down. And shaking your head. And then returning to Wuji posture. Now we step into trembling horse. This is the one exercise where there's an invitation to open to how the body naturally wants to release the tensions. And it's very similar to how maybe at night when you're falling asleep, one of your limbs might be a little jerk. So it's a much more natural way than forcing an exercise So we're opening into that awareness with this exercise of trembling horse. So we're going to do 3 different times and 3 different ways. So the first one, we're going to move the fingers ourselves. So get the sense of, maybe we can move here, how it wants to move, how easy maybe the movements of the fingers are for starters, and then letting the hands and the wrists be involved. So not necessarily shaking, but moving, opening the flow. And then into the forearms, all the way to the elbows. And then just being playful here. And then letting that go to the shoulders. The movements may or not be the same on both sides. And then if you let this involve the spine now, you might feel what it is that I was talking about earlier on. It's like this sense of the spine releasing. So there's no right way or wrong way to do this. It's very much about listening to the body, how it wants to move in the moment. And then we're going to take a breath in here. And then we do the horse. All the way down. Breathe in as you come up. And breathe out and release. Once more. So there's a way to invite even more the wisdom of the body to do this. And the way that I like to invite you to explore this is we go back to these fingers of light in front of the flesh fingers. Bring your awareness just in front here. It's in front of your fingers. And then notice maybe if there's a little bit of like a sense of a bit of a electric shimmering maybe. And letting the wisdom of your body move the fingers. And the hands. And again, being playful, curious, open to what the body wants to do. Forearms, elbows, upper arms, shoulders. You might notice that once you give that invitation, it just wants to happen. All the way into the spine, the neck, the head, hips. And then breathe in and shake it out. And up and in and release. Actually, tonight we're going to repeat the second one. That'll be our third. And I won't go into the other way tonight. I'll save that for another. So returning to that awareness in front of the fingers. And maybe noticing if the sensations are different than the second time we did this. And letting the hands move the way they want first. Forearms, elbows, and upper arm. Into the shoulder. Spine. Hips, legs. And breathe in. And let it all out. Breathe in again as you come up. So return to Wuji posture. Notice where your weight is falling in your feet. Notice what's different. We're going to complete this first phase of the healing workout with another 3 sets of bringing down the heavens. Bringing a breathing in, palms down, gathering earth energy and heaven. And sweeping the front again, completing the impact of these first few exercises. Completing the cleaning, the purging, the shaking, the back of the body now. And the third time, gathering earth and heaven chi. And bring that right through the crown, through the brain, through the neck. And slow it down a little bit and acknowledge the lungs and the heart, liver, gallbladder, spleen, stomach, pancreas, intestines. There's so many organs here. Kidneys, urinary bladder, reproductive organs, down the center. The next set of exercises is there to replenish, re-energize the internal organs. The first two have a more general impact. The first one is known as 5 yang opening. There's a number of components to this. So as we breathe in, letting the legs sink a little bit, the arms come in. As we breathe out, the arms come back. At the back, there's a little bit of the flick. The movement is here. Breathe in, breathe out. On the in-breath, the belly comes out. On the say that again. On the in-breath, the belly comes out. On the out-breath, the belly goes in. So really emphasizing the in and the out of the belly. That stimulates the organs, massages them, creating flow, chi of blood. And as we move our arms and our legs, we activate again the flow in the legs and the arms, the lymph, chi, the blood. So for those who have been doing these movements, take a moment right now that you've acquainted yourself with the physicality of this exercise to remember that on the in-breath, the chi comes up from the perineum to the lower back. And on the out-breath, it comes back down the front and spins at the bottom of the out-breath. Something that I will cover again in January. So just like counter swing, we complete this exercise on the next in-breath and the next out-breath. So taking a moment to return your awareness to your posture, noticing what's different, what got activated. Maybe if there's any tension in your body, so maybe take a moment to adjust that, adjust your posture. Finding a place where you can stand in the Wuji posture with a sense of relaxation, sense of fullness as well. We move after this into the 5 yin opening, much slower exercise. One of my favorites. So for this one, we're going to go down eventually into a crouch. You might like to have your feet slightly wider apart. We begin the exercise by bringing our arms all the way up. And then from here on the out breath, the spine will flex forward one vertebrae at a time. So taking the time you need to bring your awareness through the neck, how it junctions into the upper back, the thoracic spine. Again, taking your time. You might need to breathe in and out a number of times. Into the lower back, all the way to the sacrum. Then here you let your legs flex, coming down into a crouch. Heels are meant to be on the ground, so go either as low as you can or take your feet wider apart if you need to. At the bottom, you can't really see this on the camera right now, but imagine you're grabbing a big boulder and then letting the lifting of this boulder happen from the legs first. And then at some point, that movement transits into the sacrum, and then we unfurl the spine now, one vertebrae at a time. Reversing the motion, the arms come up on the in-breath. All the way to the top. And then we'll do this 2 more times. This, to me, the picture I like when I do this is the idea of diving into an infinite pool of chi, if you would. All the way into the crouch. Gathering that big boulder. And then coming up in the next in-breath. And reversing. Going down through. With the top, with the third in-breath, letting your arms settle back down to Uji posture. Adjusting your posture again. Maybe if your feet were wider, bring them back into shoulder width apart. Noticing where the weight of your body falls into the feet. Noticing what's different. This exercise is meant to bring inward awareness, opening up the yin. The yin is all about the internal processes, about how we regenerate. Inward focus. There are exercises that are meant to be generic, and there's in medical Qigong, our movements are often directed towards specific areas of the body or specific organs. And in the healing workout, we focus on the yin organs. Those are the ones that are the solid, like the lungs, even the heart, even though it's got chambers, that's still perceived or seen as a yin organ. The liver, pancreas, spleen-Pancreas, and the kidneys. If you notice that in their function, we can't really live without these organs. We can manage without a stomach or a large intestine, maybe without a bladder. But if we lose one of these yin organs, we have to replace them somehow. We can't live without kidneys, liver, lungs, heart, obviously. Pancreas, same thing. These are all very vital, very important. So in this workout, we use a healing sound and the color that is also healing for each organ. And we begin with the lungs of the metal element. So the color here is white, the brightest white you can imagine, like something like these bright white luminescent clouds or the curtains. And so we begin by bringing our hands at heart level, connecting the thumb and index fingers here. And you can close your eyes here, and as you breathe in, imagine drawing in white light as your arms come apart. So you might need to keep your eyes open first before you can see what I'm doing. Breathe out, the hands come back together here. And here we go back to the in-breath again. Bringing in white on the in-breath. Eyes closed if you wish. And opening your eyes here. Filling in the lungs with this white and using that energy to push out on the out breath. Grief and sadness. And even guilt and shame, which are part of the large intestine, the paired organ to the lungs. In and out. Breathing in the color. And breathing out. Emotions of grief, sadness, guilt and shame. We'll do a few more with the healing sound for the lungs too. So as you breathe in the white, it goes into the lungs. And on the out breath, the sound is. Sometimes on the recording, the sound only goes for a little while. So just know that as long as you breathe out, the sound is meant to be heard. Breathing in white. Breathing out the healing sound. And last time. No, let's do it once more. I like to complete this exercise by bringing in white now, one last time, and settling that into the lungs proper. Imagining packing this white throughout the structures of the lungs. And any excess you can brush down into the large intestine, its companion yang organ. And should there be any excess for that organ too, bringing that into space between the belly button and the pubic bone, lower dantian. From metal element, we go into the wood element of the, the water element of the kidney. This exercise has a number of components as well. The color that we're going to use that is healing for the kidney is the dark blue. The dark blue is gathered at the bottom. So we're going to scoop at the bottom the movement. The hand will scoop this water or this color from the depth of the ocean, if you will. It's a really nice picture. And we start up here, however, with one hand in front, here, open. The other hand, fingers close around the thumb, and we put that on the same kidney. Breathing in here. And then you're going to go towards the side of this arm, bend down here. This is all out breath. And at the bottom, gathering the deep root. And pausing a little bit here, imagine that you transfer this glue down your arm, across your shoulders, across the other arm into the kidney, and then you go into up. Beautiful deep root transfers through your arms into the kidney, and then you go out. What we're releasing from the kidneys are experiences of fear and fright, maybe remnants of an exposure to cold that may be frozen into your tissue. Especially people who've got experienced hypothermia. So deep hypothermia can really unbalance the body, but also if it brought them close to death, or if maybe they didn't know if they were going to survive this experience. The fear of that and the cold still be in the tissues. As you breathe out, imagine releasing that from that kidney. The out breath. And at the bottom, diving into the wisdom of the ocean, deep blue, bringing that up. And then refilling that kidney. One last time. So stopping in the center for this one. Switching sides. Breathing in if you need to. And breathing in. Again, taking a moment to really allow this transfer to be started before you go into the out breath. Letting go of fear, pride, experience of deep cold, hearing deep blue. Really allowing your awareness to transfer that dark blue into the kidney. And then returning to Wuji posture. Noticing what's different. The kidneys are really important in our overall well-being. They're responsible for all stages of transformation in our body. The growth from the fetus in our mother's belly through our childhood years, sexual maturation, and then entering relationship and creating more children ourselves or new projects, creations, and then aging. And equally important is the health of our liver. In Chinese medicine, the liver is responsible for moving qi around the body, moving qi, that's right. So when the liver is impeded, the rest of our body is quite affected. It affects our digestion. It affects our ability to breathe properly. The liver, when we study it from the perspective of Chinese medicine, it's almost always involved in one way or the other in complex illness or health situations. Right. So the liver is continuously making new molecules and breaking old molecules, or things that come from our intestine. I'm already moving here. So if you bring your weight onto the one side, feel the full weight here. And imagine from that weight drawing a smile underneath the ground to the next foot. So you're shifting weight from one side to the other by moving through this transfer of weight from one side to the other. Moving through a smile movement, if you would. So step to one side. On that side, bring your fist in, and then on the other side, push the other hand out. And as you move your weight from one side to the other, the arms change position. So the color that we're going to invite in to the liver is the bright green, bright new green of spring, these new leaves. Imagine that. They're really wanted to be alive, right? They sometimes open so quickly. That's the energy of the liver. When it's time to be alive again in the spring, that's the liver, or the wood element that's active. And in our body, it's the liver that represents that. So here we breathe in 3 times. Breathe out 3 times. Breathe in green 3 times. Breathe out expressions of anger, irritability, annoyance. In, out, out, out. So here, movement is simple enough that I'm going to again introduce the healing sound for this, which is shu, like the footwear. And this sound is used every time we breathe out. 3 in breaths of green, 3, and then shu, 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 shu. So interestingly, the virtue of the liver is compassion, the ability to see other people's experience of life from their perspective. So when there's irritability, annoyance, maybe all the way to anger, well, coming with the green, the virtue of compassion might help to shift your experience of this other person, of this life event. So let's move some of this qi tonight, the stuck qi that might be in the liver, affecting the liver, leading to irritability in your life, annoyance, impatience, in preparation for stepping into the new year. And then we complete this exercise, still with the same hip movement, but now we let the arms swing as if we're going for a walk. And we're going to settle here for a moment. Returning to your awareness of your posture. Okay, so from there we do the exercise for the fire element and the heart. Imagine grabbing a ball of qi. So the story here, which is quite cute, is that as we are walking, we find the sun on the ground. We pick up the sun, this ball of extreme yang. It's like the hottest thing we can imagine, possibly, in our universe, certainly in our solar system. This is the extreme yang. The heart is the most yang organ in our body. It's where the passion, the fieriness of our passion resides. It's in the. And when we're not able to live that passion, to live our calling, it leads either to depression or more manic joy, like we're trying to overjoy what is not feeling joyful. So taking the sun, breathing in, and imagine putting it into the sky on one side. So this is the in-breath here. On the out-breath, you take the sun through your chest, through the heart, clearing these manic experiences or depression experiences. The color I like to use for the heart is the light pink of wild rose. It's such a gentleness, a gentle smell. It's not so yang that it might overactivate my heart, overheat anything. So heart is also, as an organ, quite fragile, as we know, especially as we learn to navigate this life from the tools that are often incomplete from our childhood until we become more solid, more knowledgeable about what our true self is. Being gentle with the heart is quite advisable. So the healing sound for the heart is ha, like the laughter, ha, ha, ha. Bring that through, ha. Then breathe in light pink from the other side. Ha. 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 One more time each side. Ha. Stopping in the center with the last ah. And here we're going to release any extra heat that might have been accumulated. Breathing into the center here first, and then releasing on the out breath. Coming back to Wuji posture first. Again, noticing what's different. And the last yin organ to be covered is the spleen. Spleen-Pancreas. The healing color for the spleen is the golden yellow of spring. I think of buttercup or butcher's broom, dandelion, any of those. And we bring our hands into this configuration here, a triangle, and shining the lights of the heavens right through the third eye, the forehead. So all the mind processes, the thinking, all that is an aspect of the spleen. The spleen, when it's out of balance, will be either obsessive thinking or worrying. Breathing in here, golden yellow, and then breathing out, sinking on one side and allowing the spine to come all the way around, looking through that triangle, then breathing in and returning to center and out. Golden yellow. On the out breath, letting go of worry, obsessive thinking, trying to figure out things. Breathing in. The healing sound here is ooh. 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 And one more time each side. Ooh. Ooh. And then coming back to center, the next in breath. And then reorienting your triangle so that it faces the heavens. As if you're shining the lights of all the stars of all the celestial bodies right into your crown. Taking 3 long breaths in here. In and out, of course. And on the third out breath, letting your arms settle down. Okay, so to complete this set of exercises for replenishing of our internal organs, I'm going to do a simplified version of turtle breathing. Essentially it consists of breathing in into the upper, middle, and lower dantian. We do this using our arms in a way that is meant to emphasize where the breath is going. This arm movement now is an out breath. We empty our lungs. Close your thumbs inside your fingers. Wrap your fingers around your thumbs. Breathe in once here. Another in breath here and here. Third breath, hold the breaths in. And when you release the breath, keep the chi in. So whatever you've gathered, still there, meant to be there. Continue with the breath out. And then 3 in breath. 1, 2, 3. Hold. And then breathe out. Continue to breathe out. Breathe in. Hold. And then release. Okay, so I like to complete each of these portions. Bring down the heavens. So we'll do that again, breathing in ether and earth energy on the up, heaven energy as we transit through the shoulders. And then this now we use to nourish the front of our body, completing what the exercises have started. Back of our body. And the floor. Again, slowing it down, acknowledging the brain, the pituitary, pineal, and the hypothalamus glands, thyroid in the neck, and the lungs, the heart, the thymus, liver, gallbladder, spleen, stomach, pancreas, large intestine, small intestine, kidneys, adrenals, reproductive organs, bladder, and then down. So checking in on your posture once again. The last step in this healing workout is meant to balance the chi that we've gathered. So it's an invitation to the innate wisdom of our body to distribute that where is most needed, to harmonize the yang and the yin. The exercise that is most often used for this is known as the microcosmic order, because it's meant to circulate the chi between the governing vessel that comes up the back of the body, around the head, and connects behind the teeth here, where we put the tip of our tongue behind the teeth. And then it comes down to yin aspect of the body, the conception vessel. So if you would start by bringing your hands together, fingertips, longest fingertips. Imagine that you have a pearl, the brightest pearl you can imagine here, and that you're placing that inside your body on the bottom, on the floor of your body inside. Seeing that pearl there, luminous. And as you breathe in, you guide the pearl up the spine, noticing how the spine might want to articulate round the crown and down the front. And as you breathe out, it connects with the tip of your tongue and comes down the front of the body. And return to the perineum. That should be the end of the out breath. As you cycle into the new in breath, the pearl comes up again. And done. So actually, what we're circulating the spine through is the governing vessel, the back of the body. And down the front into the conception vessel. These are extraordinary vessels. And their purpose is exactly that. It's like they're used by the body as reserves of qi, where excess qi can be directed to in this excess chi that's stored in these organs, in these systems, sorry, and then be called upon when there's a deficiency somewhere. This exercise is known as Guangdong strokes his beard. And the idea here is to help us remember that this particular flow comes down as if we're stroking our beard. That's for males, of course. Help to imagine. It's what Guangdong is doing. Those of you that are not in. And for those of us who don't have a beard. All right, last time. Returning the pearl to the perineum. And then picking it up and out again. And bringing it in through. And here, imagine gathering through your feet the earth's chi and through your crown the heaven's chi. And bringing that down into your body, up from the earth and down from the crown. And at the heart, it comes down your arms and fills this pearl and grows it up. A golf ball, tennis ball, baseball. So keep pouring the chi of heaven and earth there. Pouring into volleyball, basketball, beach balls. So fairly big. And really, as you keep doing that, imagine that the color that you're generating here is a golden light, rich combination of lights of the heaven, which are more silvery white, and the golden yellow of the earth. And as you move your hands in and out, you might even notice this energy in between your hands, or the energy that is sent out from each palm as a thickness or as a change in your hands as you move them in and out. Okay, so the 8 movements of chi of the golden ball go as follows. So let's start with the arm movements. Breathing in here. As you breathe out, let the arms come apart. Bring them back in on the in-breath. Let them raise on the out-breath. They open again here on the next in-breath. And close. Breathe in, bring the arms in towards your middle dantian, your heart and lungs. From here, you push out. The 8th movement descends the hands back to where we started. Breathing in here, if you haven't done so yet. Breathe out. Chi disperses. Chi gathers. Rises. Expands. Contracts. Pulls in. Pushes out. Sends. See if you can involve your whole body in this movement. Chi disperses. Others. Rises. Expands. Contracts. Pulls in. Pushes out. And then descends. We'll do this one last. Up. And breathe in here. And out. And once more. And then let the hands come down on the next in breath. And acknowledging the ball in between your hands again, relaxing your breath. And then start compressing this ball back into the white pearl. Notice how this pearl might want to be more luminous this time from all the chi you gathered from the earth and heaven. And then when you have a sense that it's back to a pearl of something very dense and bright white, bring that into your lower dantian. That space again in between the navel and the pubic bone, and then circle it in there 9 times, expanding the circles. Then reversing the circles 9 times, concentrating them until you're moving the pearl inside your belly. Until lower down. The last to bring down to heaven, I used to collect colors instead to put into the protective fields that we have around our body. The first one is a physical field. The next one is a mental, emotional, roughly in this distance from the body. And then beyond this is the spiritual. As you bring your hands up, imagine gathering the most beautiful color of the physical which you feel. And then packing this color around your body in that physical field. And that extends to about 10 to 15 centimeters around. And beautiful sky blue, winter sky blue, flame blue, vibrant blue. Into the second protective field, the mental, emotional field, extending from the first one outward to about 30 to 45 centimeters. Looking it around you in all directions. And finally, for the spiritual Wei-Chi field, protective field, we gather light pink, rose quartz, and then bringing that through these fields, right into the spiritual field, all the way around. To complete our practice for tonight, bring your feet back in, almost touching. Using these fingers of light again, like at the beginning, imagine dipping those into the ground. And as they come up, imagine that you're traveling your arms, your hands through these 3 fields that we just filled. Acknowledging this expanded awareness of yourself. Bringing your palms together at the top. In prayer position, if you would, but at the top here, drawing this chi in through the crown. Acknowledging the 6th chakra, throat chakra, not the heart, and stirring it in, a bit one way, a bit the other way, through the yellow cord. And at the bottom, the lower dantian, stir it in again, and then bring your hands to lower dantian. Once more, sealing it in, maybe 3 times one way, 3 times the other way. And to conclude tonight, let's bring our palms here again, doing the Buddhist salutation, prayer palms. May all beings live free of suffering. May all beings manifest what they took birth. Let this be part of our wish for this humanity that we're part of for 2026. Thank you for being here tonight.